Good afternoon and welcome to episode 7 of Ekanath's Panthers, my solo play of 5 leagues from the borderlands by Modiphius Entertainment. I'm Bryan F. Irving. I'll be your host and the player for today. I'm from Gethsemane Games and from DH9 Radio. Some of the maps we'll be using are by Gethsemane Games, but not all. Some are by other people as well. The rule system, as I mentioned, is 5 Leagues from the Borderland by Modiphius Entertainment. The regional map is by Gethsemane Games. The music you'll be hearing is by Tabletop Audio. The cover page art is Dean Spencer's, used with permission, and the cover background is from Graphic Stop. Occasional interruptions are by my Alexa device and by Demeter the cat. So, let's see now. Last episode, when we left the Panthers, they had just completed a task for Herman, the Hermit, in this region of the local map, area 2 here. We just finished with the lair of the, that says lair of the golem, it actually wasn't a golem, that's because I copied and pasted it from where there is a lair of the golem. It was actually the lair of an ogre, and we were able to ambush the ogre who was out at the time, but unfortunately he had the magical items, the congealed strands that the hermit had been collecting when the ogre had chased him off and forced him to leave them on his person. He was wearing them as a bracelet, so we had to defeat the ogre in order to recover the things that the hermit needs, which, if we take them back to him, he will exchange for the knowledge that we asked for. So we ended in the camp. Although we defeated the ogre, it was at some cost, because Leonidas, one of our toughest warriors, was taken out during the fight and has been very, very badly injured. He'll be out for 5 campaign turns. That happened on campaign turn 9, I think that was. Yeah, so it'll be campaign turn 14, right? Yep, 14, before he is back with us. That's unfortunate, as he's one of our best hand-to-hand fighters. We still have Kanji, we still have Balthazar, both good fighters, and we have a new member of our team in the form of a new follower, Yanaro, who we rescued from the ogre who's been held captive. The ogre was intending having him for supper. So we are about to head back. We start this campaign turn in camp, having just defeated the ogre. So we need to find out what events happen in camp. That would be a lot easier if my PDF hadn't just frozen. So, how are you? Okay, it's unfreezing now. I'm now unfrozen, so let's go over to the campaign turn. The preparation stage, we've got 7 steps in that we need to go through. So we start on page 75 with, if you're in a town, well we aren't, if you're in a camp, then you're in the wilderness. Your first campaign turn, well, we're not doing our first campaign turn, we're 9 turns in. This will be turn 10 actually, we're just starting now. So let me just change that. Campaign turn 10. So we need to roll on the camp events table, if in camp, which we are. So the camp events table. All kinds of things could happen here, from us just telling a story to one another, to us being attacked in camp or encountering somebody. This is how we encountered one of our 2 friends, the doctor we met the last time, the physician, who we are hoping to go and visit at our first opportunity, because obviously we now have an injured member, but now is not that time, unfortunately. Now we have to get onto the hermit, but first we roll a D100 to find out what happens to us in the camp. And 30 damaged equipment. Whilst working your gear, an item broke. Select a random warband member. A random item they are carrying or wearing becomes damaged. Of course it does. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 6 here, so I will put Ekanath at the first as he's our leader, and I will put Leonidas at the back as he's our injured member, and I'm just going to roll a d6 and see which one of them had some equipment damaged. It was probably damaged during the fight and we only noticed it. In fact, that fits because we've rolled 6, which is Leonidas. He was the one that was taken out in hand-to-hand combat. So he only has 3 items, and I'm reluctant to lose any of them. He's carrying, a bastard sword, a helmet, and a suit of partial armour. Now I'm going to say that the helmet saved his life, but in so doing was damaged and is no longer usable. So I'm going to mark the helmet as damaged, because I really don't want to lose the bastard sword or the partial suit of armour. Not least because whilst he's out, that equipment can be handed off to somebody else to use. So could the helmet, but of all of them, I think the helmet only comes into play if you get injured in the first place. So we're going to try not to get injured. That's probably the best bet. I know that's easier said than done, of course. Okay, so we're a bit disappointed. We've noticed that a helmet has been damaged, and we know we need to get back to a town and find a blacksmith who will fix it. We've got quite a lot of loot on our baggage animals, so we know that we should be able to pay to have that repair made. So we just have to keep out of trouble till we can get back. We're not good at keeping out of trouble. We tried it once. It actually went very, very badly for us. So step 2 is hard times. During this step, you manage the finances for your warband. Now, in a later step, there is the opportunity in step 3, campaign activities, and one of which pays off. It offsets the cost during your hard times. So we're probably going to do that, because that is live off the land. And I think if we live off the land, which is a camp-only activity, then we don't spend any of our hard-earned gold marks in the upkeep step. So that's what we're going to do. So that's campaign turn 2 done, and campaign turn 3 has started, because that's step 3 has started, because that's the step in which we do the living off the land. Which in the past what I've done is I've just paid it, and then when I've lived off the land I've paid myself it back. But I knew I was going to do that this time, so there's no point in adding paperwork. So we get 2 activities during our step 3. So we've lived off the land. What else are we going to do? I think, let me see, our options are forage for herbs as well. Herbs can be very useful. There's a few that could be useful to us. Live off the land, hunting expedition, mystic expedition I'm tempted by, because Ekanath was forced to use one of his congealed strands. Was he in the end actually, or did he not? Let me just take a look. Yeah, he did. He used one of his congealed strands, which means he's down to only 1. I'm not really comfortable being down to just a single congealed strand. So I'm going to go on a mystic expedition looking for some more congealed strands. I know I have the ones that I rescued for the hermit, but they're his, and we have to give him them back in order for him to help us with our quest. So they're off limits. So I have to find another congealed strand somewhere. So I'm going to go on a mystic expedition. You set out to find natural sources of magical energy to harness and preserve. Make a 9+ alchemy test. If you succeed, you find a congealed strand. That's actually quite tough, as I don't have alchemy. So it's 2d6, and I just need to roll 9, which is quite high on 2d6, but not undoable. So let's give it a go. 11. Yes, we have found a second congealed strand. That's replaced the one we had to use in the battle with the ogre. So Ekanath's really pleased with himself and his crew for finding this congealed strand for him to make up for one of our losses during the fight with the ogre, the loss of the congealed strand. We still have the helmet, which we'll be carrying with us in our pack till we can get somewhere to pay to have it fixed. So step 4 next is trade, but that can be done at settlements only, and we're not in a settlement, so we need to move on from there. Step 5, research. You may wish to do some preparatory research for the adventures ahead. I just cannot seem to pronounce preparatory correctly. During this step, you may carry out a roll for connections, or you may attempt to track down a camp or hideout. Well, I've had mixed results with connection tests. I haven't had anything go badly wrong yet. What I have found, though, is either nothing happens or I make a friend. So let's give it a go. So D100 on the connections test. 48. If you have a friend on your warband roster sheet, one of them decides to send you aid. Yes, I do. I've got 2 friends on my roster sheet, one of which is the doctor we met the last time, and the other one is Solomon, who still has a contract that he would like us to fulfill to destroy that golem that is to the south of us. So he's maybe aware of the fact that the golem's a little bit above us yet, so he sent something to help out. So I have to roll a d6 on a secondary chart here. On a 1 or a 2 we gain an adventure point. On a 30 or a 4 we gain 2 gold marks, and on a 5 or a 6 we gain a story point. So let's just see what we get. 6. So we gain a story point. Now story points are extremely important. They allow us to do all kinds of useful things, and we spent some in the early stages of the game, so we were quite low. So we can assume we've had a letter from Solomon. This letter has explained or has told us a tale of things that have happened. He's telling us about something he thought might interest us, another great hero's tale. He's telling us this to inspire us in the hopes that it will gird us ready to fight this beast he wants us to destroy. And we take something from that story which is going to be useful to us in the future. We learned something as we heard this tale. We learned what the moral of the story was, essentially, what it was trying to tell us. We spotted, and we'll find out exactly what it is when we come to spend that story point. So that's our connections roll. So that's step was that 5? Yes, that's step 5. So step 6, decide your adventure. Choose what you would like to do this campaign turn. The following options, detailed fully in the adventure section, include explore a location. When we've already explored this location, I can probably remove that layer now, or I think what we'll do is we'll put a big red X through it so we know that we've done it, because the layer itself is still there. Something else might move in later. We can battle an enemy threat with our best fighter down. I'm not convinced we want to do that. Ride patrol, carry out a contract, rest up, or quest. Well, we have to get back to the hermit for the second part of our quest, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to go back to the hermit and see him. We're going to tell him that we have completed the quest, and here's the strings, the congealed strands that you asked. Did we actually do this last week? Do you know, I'm not sure. Anyway, I don't think we did, because my marker was north of his position. So yeah, we tell him we found the congealed strands. He wanted to, the ogre had woven them into like a band he was wearing around his wrist. And we ask the hermit if he will fulfill his section of his promise to us, and tell us the information that we need from the first part of the quest we did, when we found the idol with the notes hidden inside. We wanted to know what they were referring to and what have you. So what we do now is we head off to another page to do that second part of the quest. So I just find the quest table. Movement. Preparations, enemies, scenario types. Quests, 105. And what we did was Information costs. You need to get help from a wise individual, this is the hermit, who has the information you need, but nothing is free at the location. You must generate and carry out a contract, which we did. You receive no pay for this contract. Our payment is that he tells us what we need to do next. Once the contract has been completed, you may then return to the location to complete the task, which I'm doing. So we complete the task. So I need to find out what the next step is. Okay. So what is the next step? Okay, so there is a roll I have to make to see if that was the last part of the quest or not. And I'm just trying to find the information about that. After completing each step of a quest, roll D6. If the roll is below the number of tasks you've completed successfully, you're ready to move to the quest finale. See below. So it does say below, not equal to. Yes, it does. Okay, so if I roll a D6, if I roll a 1, then he has given me the penultimate part of the quest. Anything else, and there are more bits to come. So I've rolled a 6, so there's still a lot more of this quest to do, presumably. Or at least there's something else to do. And I need to roll to find out what it is that the hermit has told me I need to do next to fulfill my quest. So peering at these mystical notes that we found in the base of the little idol thing. The hermit tells us, I have looked at these things you brought me, and this is interesting. There is there is a fierce monster that guards some magical ingredients that I will need to cast a spell to help you in the next step of your quest. Once the beast is slain, you will have completed your task, and I will be able to cast the spell for you. I might have to come with you for this, because the ingredients the monster guards, well, they are short-lived, shall we say. So, I might need to come with you, but I will not fight. I will only be at your camp, and I will cast the spell when the time is right. Do you agree to my terms? We can't think of a single reason why we wouldn't. We know that this quest is of great importance to our patron, so we've decided that of course we will do that. So we are on an ingredient hunt. So quest the next. So quest step 3, ingredient hunt. Ingredient hunt. You must hunt and destroy a fierce monster that would contain a rare magical ingredient. I don't suppose it could be that golden, could it? 2 birds, 1 stone? Very much doubt it, never mind. So we need to go and find a monster's lair quest and figure out how to set that up and how we discover what the creature is and where the thing is. So this monster's lair is going to be elsewhere. So campaign preparation, adventures, monster lairs 94. So what do we know about our monster lairs? You have discovered the lair of a dangerous monster. Well, we've been told where it is, and you must prepare an assault to destroy it. No doubt the fact that such a lair are usually full of treasure never crossed your mind. Well, in this instance, again, it didn't. This is exactly what happened the last time we had to go and find a monster lair to bring back the things that had been stolen from this hermit. But this time, he is aware of a monster's lair, and would you believe it, the lair in question is, we are horrified to discover, the very lair that lies north of the nomad town where we fought a demon not so long ago, a demon that all but destroyed us. It killed 2 of our followers, it seriously wounded another. But that is where this quest is. It's not the demon, or at least we hope it's not the demon. So, quest step 3, I'm going to call this, and we don't know what Retrieve the magical ingredients. Magical ingredients for okay, so we will save that off. That's there. I will move the quest marker. I will move us because we're going to have to go for a travel. I'm going to move the quest marker over to there and make that move that to the front. Okay, move the other one to the back. There we go. That's the quest marker. So we're going to be heading off. We're going to be packing our equipment, breaking down our camp, making sure that Leonidas is safe to move, and we're going to have to head off to this monster's lair. Now, we do have time to deal with it. We'll also have to search for the place once we get there. So we actually don't have to go and raid that monster's lair right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to move into that area. We're going to do a travel and move. Go to the nomad town to try and prepare ready for our raid on the creature, because it's in the same square anyway, so we won't be camping out this time, so that's good. But before we can investigate the lair, we've got everything else. We need to wrap up on the preparations, so we've got to decide your adventure. So we now have to outfit for adventure. Well, we're going to be travelling, that's the next part of our adventure. We're going to travel to the nomad town and use that as a staging area so that the following campaign turn we'll actually raid the monster's lair. We want to find out more about the monster first, and we want to spend some time at the town. But travelling is dangerous, so we need to equip ourselves for the journey. So with Leonidas out, it would be wise for us to give his suit of armour to somebody else. So I think Balthazar is going to take the suit of partial armour this time round. So I'm just going to suit of partial armour. That's a 2-point suit of armour on loan from Leonidas. Now the Leonidas bastard sword, does he lend that to somebody else? He loaned his crossbow to Gennaro last time. He's going to let Gennaro keep that crossbow because he's ill anyways, he's injured, and also he's not great with a crossbow. He prefers to fight hand to hand despite his recent encounter. But will he give the bastard sword off to somebody else? Well, actually I'm not sure there's anybody that needs it. Kanji's already equipped with an axe. It has the same advantages as is Balthazar. He could lend it to Gennaro, who hasn't got a melee weapon. But no, I think he's going to hold on to it himself just in case this is a virtual stranger. He doesn't really want to lend him a weapon that has great significance to him, so he's going to hang on to the bastard sword. So we're all equipped as I stated, which is largely as last time, except that the better suit of armour is now in Balthazar's hands instead of Leonidas, or Balthazar's now wearing it instead of Leonidas. So we're going to need to make a travel roll to find out what happens on this. Do you know, I might actually scout out the base, the monsters thing, while we're passing. I think we'll scout it out to see if we can find the entrance, because that's a thing you need to do as well. But first of all, let's make our travel roll, because we've got to get there. Travelling is dangerous in this game, as I mentioned every time. So, adventures, travel. Page 111. So travel events table. We're going to need to roll on the travel events table. On a 1 to 30, nothing happens. That would be great for us. On a 31 to 50, we meet somebody. Now, we've had a lot of luck with that in the past. We've made friends that way and all sorts, gained contracts. 51 to 65, we see an unexplored location in the distance, which we mark on the map for later adventuring. 66 to 75 is where things start to get a bit awkward. 66 to 75 we've been waylaid by foes, so we really don't want to roll that. And higher than that, you get all kinds of other nasty things as well. So let's just roll that D100 and hope for a nice little roll. And we didn't get a nice little roll. No, we got a 92. Was it left? Oh no, we lost again. Oh. Was it left or right at the second tree? You are completely lost, but you've managed to encounter something. So you have a travel encounter, see page 114. This is the second time we've managed to get ourselves lost since arriving in the Salford world. We're not great at navigating. We need to buy a map at some point, I think is what a compass, something. So page 114, we have our encounter. What is the encounter? Could be just about anything actually. So we'll roll a D100 for the travel encounter. This may or may not be dangerous. 100. I've got a bad feeling about this. Young runaway. Okay, so we have encountered a young runaway. This young human nomad. We found him in the woods, probably unconscious. Is suffering a little bit from dehydration, so we're going to wake him up, approaching him cautiously in case there's some kind of ambush. But determine how the encounter goes. Roll D100 on the table. Okay, so we wake him up and see how he takes to seeing these great furry, befanged faces of Ekanath's Panthers as he wakes up. 29. He's disinterested. You'd think, wouldn't you? That he would be a little bit more interested. So it turns out he wasn't conscious at all. He was just sleeping. He's perfectly able to keep himself alive in the wilderness. He is, after all, a nomad and is used to this, but is not. He's refusing to go back to the nomad town. He's had some kind of fallen out with them, but he's just not interested in telling us anything about it. In fact, he just runs away, and that's the end of the encounter. Disinterested. They're not interested in having a conversation. You nod to each other and move on. So we try and call him back. Come back, it's dangerous out there. He wants nothing to do with us at all, and he's away and running. So we shrug and think, well, if anybody mentions they've lost this youth, we'll mention where we saw him, but we can't just kind of hunt him down. We'll only panic him if we do. So that's our travel has been relatively successful, but does mean we can't go to the nomad town this round because we're completely lost. So it means we start our next campaign turn camped again. This time in the middle of nowhere. Not quite sure where we're at. And it's now campaign turn 11, and we're going to have to go through that again. So we begin with preparation, local events. If any luck, somebody will find us, put us back on the right path. So let's roll a D100 for a local event. D100. 50. So campaign round 11 starts with us waking up. And oddly enough, we've encountered a renowned scholar. Wait a minute, is this not a town? So that's a towns, it is, yeah. Let's ignore that then, move on. I rolled on the wrong table. So 50 in the camp events is Friendly Ranger. One of the tough folk that patrol the forest shares your campfire. You may add a friend. Oh, this is great. This is great. We've gone from having none to having 3. So I'm going to add a ranger to my campaign. Friends. Ranger. Who's going to be named think now. I'm terrible at names. Balathor, the ranger, is added to our friends list. And we have a nice conversation with him. He tells us where we've gone wrong, puts us back on the right track. And we thank him greatly for that. We tell him about our request and he apologises and says unfortunately he's busy at the moment. He will try and meet up with us later, perhaps, if time permits, but he has many things that he must do himself, not least of which is he has to hunt and trap some animals for their pelt and meat and what have you. So we could move on to step 2, which is hard times, but I'm going to do what I did last time, which is I'm going to live off the land. So I don't need to do that. It does occur to me actually that there might be a role to live off the land that I skipped the last time. Let me just double check that. I think I got so excited I forgot that I might need to make a roll to try and live off the land. And no, there isn't. It's just subsistence level hunting and foraging, which is not glamorous but is free. You hunt your food and some pelts to barter for bowstrings. Your upkeep costs are offset this turn. Okay, so we don't need to worry about our upkeep costs this turn. So we can go straight into the next stage, which is... we should have been doing healing as well, and I should have been marking, but we already know it's sort of round 13 that Leonidas recovers. So Leonidas is... was out 5, but he's now out another 3, because this is the second round campaign turn of healing. If you have any tonics available, the character can drink it to cut an extra campaign turn off. Do you know, I might have some tonics actually in my backpack, so I'm just going to go and check my backpack, in which I find 2 doses of Iron Shield root. I must remember them when fights break out, because if I take them before the fight I gain an extra point of toughness. Got a dose of Silverleaf, yeah, but don't have any tonics actually, so that's okay. We move straight on to the second of our campaign activities. So we've lived off the land a bit. What would we like to do for our second one? I think at this point, live off the land, hunting expedition, settlement camp only, forage for herbs. Yes, I think we're going to forage for herbs actually. So we need an 8+ wilderness test. Success locates 1 dose of herbs. Final result of 11+ finds 2 doses of herbs. Oh, that's good. Okay, so we're going to start foraging for herbs. So actually we're just going to send Kanji and a couple of others off with them while the rest guard the camp, because Kanji happens to have actually that's scouting, not wilderness. He does have a ranger's cloak, which gives him +1 on wilderness rolls anyway. So we're going to use Kanji, and probably Altran will go with him. We roll a 2d6 and we add 1 for the ranger's cloak. We have to beat 8 or better. 2d6 and 5, 6. No, so we haven't found any useful herbs. Found a few mushrooms that we're munching on the way back, but nothing to really replenish our supplies more than the foraging did either, so that really hasn't done us any good this round. Never mind, such is the way of life. So our next step is trade, which we can't do because we're not actually in a settlement. No. Oh no, because we got lost last round, so even though we're in the same square as a settlement, we weren't allowed to use it. That's right. So, we can't trade, we can do some research, connect with somebody, or roll for... Oh, do you know what, I'm going to do some research again, roll for a connection. That's been doing us well so far, so let's see. And we've scored 2, no result. No result. So just kind of milling around the wilderness, collecting food and looking for things we haven't been able to find. So we have to decide upon our adventure next. So, yeah, I think we rest up, and I think we rest up at the town. So, because we're no longer lost, so we can go and do that. I think we will. I did say we were going to check out the quest location first, didn't I? Just check it out, see if we can find the route in, because we don't have to enter it once it's breached. You only have to make a breach and roll to find the entrance. So we'll do that and then retreat to the town, ready to prepare our adventure. So monster lair is 94, and we find once there we need to make an 8+ scouting test to breach the lair. If you are here because of a quest or contract on the mission, you may add +1. If the attempt succeeds, you can assault the lair immediately or during any future turn. Mark the lair with an asterisk. Okay, so we're going to try and find the entrance. We're also going to try and find any clues as to what might actually live here. So we have to make an 8 or better scouting test. Now Kanji does have scouting, so he gets +2 on that. So it's 2d6 +2, and we need 8 or better. 6, so we haven't been able to find the entrance. So we're very distracted. We haven't been able to find the entrance to this lair. We know it's there somewhere, but it's just infuriating us. So with our tail somewhat between our legs, we go and spend the night at the nomad camp instead and end our turn there. So as campaign turn 12 is about to start, and we haven't seen any action for 2 weeks now. 2 weeks game time, I mean by that, not an actual 2 weeks for us. Obviously last week we fought the ogre. But I mean, since fighting the ogre in the game, the Panthers have experienced about 2 weeks now. The campaign turn is about a week. And no action, so they're getting a little bit restless, as they tend to. Having said that, I'm sure Leonidas is happy to be spending the time resting. So also I need to find out, does that rest up do anything for his... It might take an extra week off his thing, so let's just find out. Rest up. The safe option if you have multiple injuries. You must be in a settlement to use this. Well, we're in the same square as the settlement, and we're no longer lost where you are able to go to the settlement to rest. No travel is required. Proceed to resting up. See chapter... the resting up chapter. See page 96. Page 96, resting up. If you begin the campaign turn in a settlement, you may opt... Well, we didn't begin the campaign turn in a settlement, no. No, we began at camp because we were lost. We ended it having moved in here. So I don't actually think our resting up gives us any advantage this time round. So we're straight into campaign turn 12, and we begin another round of stuff. So we're asking around. One of the things we'll be doing is asking around. If anybody knows, the infuriating thing is we'd been in that lair once, but the entrance we used then is gone. It's collapsed during the battle that somebody else fought with the demon. The thing's collapsed. We can't find it all the way back in. Preparation, page 75. We go through this again. Step 1, local events. So another D100, but we're in a town this time, so we're using a different table, and we score a 39. 39. Wandering healer. Now, is that good news or what? A medical doctor is travelling through town and offers his service. Now, I think this is probably the same doctor that we met and escorted most of the way here the last time. So I think this is our friend, the doctor we met the last time, whose name is on one of my notes that I seem to have misplaced. Well, I will find it anyway. But I think it's our friend. We've probably got a nickname for him by now because he's a friend of ours anyway. So, select an injured character. So we only have one injured character, that's Leonidas. Mark 1 turn off their recovery time. This is great. If this heals them completely, they can act normally this campaign turn, including joining you in battle. So we find our old friend, not old actually, we only met him a couple of weeks ago, but we find our friend, and we are very, very pleased to find him. And we'll say, you remember we mentioned we could have used your help when we first met. We could have used your help just a week ago. Yes, I remember that. How are things? You don't need my help again, do you? He says. I'm afraid we genuinely do. I'm afraid one of our fighters. You remember Leonidas? Yes, Leonidas, the big lion. Yes, I remember him. Take me to him. I'll make sure he's okay. We can't have Leonidas injured. So he goes and he takes a look at Leonidas and he says, "Ooh, this. What on earth have you been hit by? It looks like a mountain's come down on you." Leonidas is like, "It felt like it. It felt like it. I was attacked by an ogre." "Ah, well, yes, ogres, they can be quite nasty. You're lucky to have survived." I'll be honest, Doc, I don't really feel that lucky." He said, "Well, let me just apply some poultices and I'll give you something for the pain. You're going to feel a lot better very, very soon, I assure you." So he treats him. And sure enough, Leonidas is feeling a lot better than he was, but he's still not back up and about on his paws just yet. It needs about another week or something else to take a week off. So that was step 1. So step 2, as we know, is hard times. Now, this time we can't do what we had been doing before, which was, pardon me, excuse me, sorry about that. We can't do what we've been doing before, which is just live off the land because we're in a town. We can work our passage, but that might not actually cover the hard times. So we have to find out what it's cost us. Now, our warband is currently 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people strong. So it's still only a D3 upkeep cost per campaign round. So let's see what it costs to feed us and replenish our supplies. Roll 1d3. 2. So it's going to cost us 2 marks. That's fine, we're happy with that. 2 marks. We're not as poor as we were the last time we passed through town. But 2 marks is not too bad. So we move on to the next step, which is healing. So I've already taken a turn off that and another turn for the doctor. So we've only got 1 week left. We need to heal. So let's just have a look at what else. We could do some hard work. We could visit the healer, visit the town healer and settlements only. I'm tempted. Let me just take a look at that. So it could be the same healer, or it could be a different one. I'm going to say it's the same one. It's our friend again. So as well as the kind of special event, he's going to come back the next day. Remember, this is campaign turn, so it's around about a week. He comes back the next day to make sure that Leonidas is still well. Obviously, we're going to pay him this time because he's spending a lot of time looking after Leonidas. So visit the healer. Healing potions and some herbal tea is just what is needed when you have a broken rib and multiple stab wounds. Select a single injured character and reduce their recovery time by 1 turn. You must select a character that has just had their final turn of recovery time. If so, they can join you in battle at this campaign turn. There we go. So that costs me another gold mark, but it's worth it. So we give our old friend the doctor a gold mark for his continued help, and he apologises profusely. He says, "I'm really sorry, I wouldn't normally charge friends, but I'm using a lot of my supplies here." No, that's fine, that's why we adventure. We're doing quite well for ourselves. And honestly, we have to go to the market shortly because we have so much loot to sell. Think nothing of it, just tell us what it'll cost to have Leonidas back up and about. And he kind of grimaces. He went, I'm really sorry, but I'm going to have to ask for a gold mark just to reply. That's fine. Take a gold mark. Not a problem. Take a gold mark. If there's anything else you need in town when we're going in to do the shop, just tell us. We'll pick it up at the bazaar. No, that's fine now. And, it's probably best if I do it myself. So we leave Leonidas in the capable hands of our friend the Doctor, and then we pick a second campaign activity for this round. Well, I think we go to the blacksmith and see about getting that helmet fixed. Don't you? So blacksmith, in order to... Now this is a village. Oh no, this is the largest of the towns, isn't it? So this is a full town. And to fix... Adventuring is rough on equipment, even before you factor in something trying to kill you with a mace yesterday. Well, it was 2 weeks ago, but that's pretty much what happened. If you've damaged items, you can visit the blacksmith to have them repaired. The smithy can repair one item per campaign turn. The cost is shown on the table above. If a character passes a 9+ crafting test, you can repair a second item during the same activity. The cost must be paid for both. Okay, so I'd only have one item damaged, and it is a helmet, but interestingly enough it isn't listed. I've got light armour, partial armour, full or knight's armour, any other armour pieces, so that's going to be what it is, I imagine. So that's 1 gold crown. So I spend another gold crown, and we're now down to 5. We arrived in town, we're 9, we're down to 5. That's still okay though, we're still happy with that. So we've managed to have Leonidas's helmet fixed. It's no longer damaged. Leonidas is no longer injured. Things are looking up for us a little bit, and we're kind of glad we came to town. So I think the next thing up is the trade step, which is where we'll make back some of this money that we've just spent. Yep, for trade. During the step you can buy and sell equipment in any order you like. You can buy anything listed on the common goods table. Now there's a bunch of things I want to buy from the common goods table, and common goods table is page 88. But I've also got a bunch of things I want to sell. Now it does say you can sell any standard items for 1 gold mark per item if in a town. Enchanted items can be sold for 1d6 gold marks, but what's important to us is the actual loot items that we found, that we have specific values for. So we're going to sell them. First of all, we're going to sell the 2 bags of tools we found. The first one's better than the second, so the first one's worth 3, the second one's worth 2. So we haggle quite a while with the merchant who wants to buy these 2 sets of tools. He wants to give us 5 gold, and we say, well, we'll take 6. I said, no, I can't give you 6. I said, well, you just told us the first one we showed you was worth 3. Oh, well, it is, but the second one's not as good quality. But 6 for 2 seems fair to us. So, but the second one is missing some of the precision equipment the third one has. So we take a look, we realise we're not getting anywhere with this bartering, and we agree to sell the 2 for a total of 5 for 3 crowns, marks for the first one, 2 marks for the second one. That gives us an extra amount of money there. So we've got 5 more crowns than we had a moment ago. So we thank him anyway, and ask him, you don't happen to know anybody that deals in gemstones? Is there a jeweller in the town? Yes, there is a jeweller in the town. The jeweller is 3 doors up, and well, be careful though. He's good at making sure he doesn't pay over the odds. And we shrug. We don't want him to pay over the odds. Just the odds will do, and off we bound. And we see this jeweller who's actually in a remarkably good mood today, and we show him the gemstones that we found. And we happen to know that the going rate for these to a jeweller is about 7 gold marks, and he offers us 6. But again, Ekanath savvy says 6 for that. It must be, these are brilliant jewels. Give us 9. 9. We'll take 9. We'll be out of your hair. You won't have to listen to my snarly voice any longer. So I can't give you 9. I'll give you 7. I'll give you 7 for it. 7. Yes, okay, we'll take 7. We'll take 7 for that. So we hand him over the gemstones, which we definitely do have, and we'll take the 7 gold marks instead, putting us up to 17. This is the wealthiest we've ever been since we've got here, so we're in a high. We still have a bottle of fine wine we could sell as well if we wanted to. But I'll be entirely honest, I don't think we want to. I think we want to keep that celebrate at a later date, or to drown our sorrows perhaps at a later date. So we're going to finish, well actually we can still buy stuff, so there's that, and we can also make a roll on the, because we're in a town, we can make a roll on the rare items thing, see if something rare has come up. So let me just find that. So encounters, trade, it's 80 something, isn't it? 85, there we go. 85. So, listen, if you're in a village, which we are, you may roll once on the rare goods table. If you're in a town, actually this might very well might be the town. It is, yep, so we can roll twice on the rare goods table on page 86. So I need pages 88 and 89, sorry I said 86, I'm inverting the number. Slight problem with this numeracy. I sometimes read numbers backwards or upside down. It's a very mild case I have, so it doesn't cause me too much trouble. Every now and again I do it. I usually catch myself quickly though. So okay, rare goods. Let's find out what's available in town today that are not normally easily come by. So we find 73 and 76. 73 and 76. So on the various market stalls that are scattered around, I find the Scout's Cloak, an interesting item, but not really any use to me, because I have somebody who is a trained scout, and I have a Scout's Cloak for somebody else, so I don't need one of those. 76, a set of alarm traps. Well, a set of alarm traps for 4 is interesting to me, so I'm going to make a note of that. Set of alarm traps for 4 marks, question mark. So I'm thinking about that, but I want to see what else we have available on the store, because I have some things very much in mind that I definitely want to buy. So let's have a look at those common goods. So I've got enough weapons for everybody. I don't need a standard weapon or a fine weapon. I don't even need a light weapon. Enough missile weapons for everybody as well, so we're going through quite quickly here. Armour. Now then, this is where we could do with improving our equipment a bit more. We lost a suit of partial armour the first time we fought a major monster, a demon, remember? So we were fleeing in the darkness. Leonidas was forced to shed his armour in order to get safely home. So that's a distinct possibility. Bandages. Now, there's a lot of bandages here, and I would very much like to buy some bandages, because if we use bandages as an action, we can, when somebody's wounded in battle, not the injuries they suffer afterwards, but the actual wounds they take, it counts towards whether they're still in a fight or not. If they use an activate thing with bandages, they can recover from that wound. That gives us a much better chance of staying in the fight, so I think we need to buy some bandages. Now, bandages are on sale for 2 coins at the moment. There doesn't seem to be a restriction on how many I can buy. I'm just going to quickly check. Common goods. Due to limited stocks, you can only buy 1 of any given item during a campaign turn, but you may buy multiple different items. Right, okay. So I can only buy 1 use of bandages, unfortunately, but I'm going to. So that drops us back down to 15 gold marks. So that special item we saw earlier, the set of alarm traps for 4, that's still looking like it could be a possibility. is there anything else that we feel? Well, do you know there is actually? There are. I could buy a congealed strand. You know how useful they are, and some tonics. The way things have been going, tonics might be a good idea as well. There's so many things on here that might be useful, but I think I would like to buy a large quiver if I can find one on the list. I know you can get large quivers because they've appeared in loot lists and so forth. I don't see it on the for sale. Do you know what? It's going to be a rare item, isn't it? Let me just check the rare items, and there it is. Yeah. Okay. I really wanted, if I'm strictly honest, a large quiver because it means you get an extra shot if you excuse me, if you run out of missiles, which you notice happens to us a lot. So I'd really wanted one, but none's come up for sale this round because they're rare items, so I'm just going to have to manage without. So I'm going to buy a tonic. I think that's a single use, as it is. Tonic, one use. That's cost us another 4, so I'm down to 11 gold marks. That's still more than we had when we got here, so I'm not complaining. Is there anything else? Now I could take a brave mule, which allows us to take more stuff with us on adventures, but currently it's whatever's strapped to our characters, so their weapons and their armour don't count because they're carrying them themselves. We can carry 8 other items. Now currently we don't have 8 other items, so I don't really need a mule to help us carry more than that. So I think that partial suit of armour. I think I'm going to buy that partial suit of armour to replace the one that Leonidas had to shed whilst fleeing from the demon. Now Leonidas has been using the other partial suit of armour ever since, but when he was ill and when he was injured and we almost got lost, he loaned a partial suit of armour to Balthazar. So now he's going to tell Balthazar to keep that one, which means we now have a spare light suit of armour, the suit that Balthazar was wearing in the first place. So let's find out who isn't wearing any armour. So Leonidas has partial armour, Balthazar has partial armour, Kanji isn't wearing any armour, so he's about to. So I'm going to put some light armour on Kanji. Light armour. One. That's odd, I did think he was. I think he borrowed some out of our stash for earlier games. So that's 2. Yep, so currently Ekanath and Kanji are in light armour, Leonidas and Balthazar are in partial armour, and Yanaro and Altran are currently unarmoured. Okay, that's fine. That'll do me for now. I tend to have them stand off as much as possible anyway. So, do I buy that set of alarm traps? Do you know what I'm going to? And I'm going to add them straight into the backpack to take with us on the adventure. So alarm traps. That's going to cost me another 4. That leaves me with 7 crowns, which is still quite good. We've spent a lot of time in this campaigning area with less than that. So that's not too bad at all. So I've taken the alarm traps, which were one of the rare goods that came up. So I just need to check what they exactly do in game terms. And then it's a case of moving on to our next step. So actually I can look this up another time for the exact game statistics. I'm just going to move on to our next step after the trade. So trade was 4, wasn't it? Yes. So research is next. We attempt to track down a camp or a hideout. Or I think we're just going to roll on the connections table again, because we don't want to track down a camp or a hideout. We want to try and have another go at that adventure thingy. So let's roll D100, and that's 50. So if you have a friend on your warband roster, they decide to send you aid. Oh, that's good. That's the second time that's happened. So one of our friends has decided to help us out a little bit, so I'm going to roll that D6 again. 6, another story point. So we've gone to see Solomon, who's telling us stories of his great exploits in the past, telling us about all the things he's done, and we're encouraged by this. But he did do them when he was younger. He's a bit of an older man now, which is why he doesn't feel the need to go and hunt down that golem on his own. Of course, he might be convinced to come with us when we go after it, because there is one of the once in a campaign things. You can take any friend and have them join you. So it could be I could use that to have Solomon join us when we go to take on that golem that he asked us to defeat. And do you know there is a limited time for that? So let's just see. That expires at the end of campaign turn 13. So I think we're in campaign turn 13. So I think our adventure this round... we're on 12. We're on 12. Okay. I still think the adventure this round, I might risk going after that. I'm staggering as I'm saying it. I can't believe I'm well, we're on a high because we've just beaten that ogre. And we feel that the golem... Oh, do you know what? I think we're going to try it. I think we are just stupid enough to try this. I really do. Oh, no. Okay. Anyway, we haven't quite got to that section yet because we're still doing our research. Solomon's given us a story point. Oh, fuck it, I've got a strong feeling, because the next section is decide your adventure, explore, carry out a contract. You know what? We're right here talking to Solomon. We're around his hearth. He's telling us about all his great deeds when he was young. He's inspiring us. We've just defeated an ogre. Are we actually dumb enough to go, yeah, let's go and kill that ogre now? I think we are. I really do think we're daft enough to try this. We can always spend a point to get away clear. I think that might be another one of the once in a lifetime, once in a campaign things. If it goes horribly wrong, yes, we're going to. We are. So choose what you would like to do this time. Carry out a contract. That's what we're going to do. We're going to head off to the lair of the golem. And we'll probably leave the hermit in town for now and say, look, we're coming back. We couldn't find our way in, but we've got some things we need to do for our friend Solomon. We're going to do that while we're pumped and before anybody gets themselves hurt again. So yeah, we're going to outfit ourselves for adventure. So we know how we're equipped weapons and armor wise. Ekanath's got his 2 congealed strings and his 3 basic strings. We're going to put the... Who's carrying the shield? I need to check who's carrying the shield actually. We need to put the doses of silver leaf, the what's the other thing we've got? The iron root. The iron root. That's going in our backpack. The tonic, the alarm traps, and forget the 5 wine as well. We might drink it while we celebrate if we manage to beat this thing, he says. Kanji's also, he's been training. He's gotten a lot faster. That was when he levelled at the end of last week. I think I told you I would tell you what happened this round. Well, he gained a point of agility, so he now activates on a 1, 2 or a 3 in the fast action round. I think it's going to be interesting to try this fight. So that's how we're going to equip ourselves. Alarm traps, tonic bandages, the doses of silver leave for the doses of iron root, and I'm going to work out who's carrying the shield, and we are going to head off. We're going to travel, so I need a travel test first, aren't I? And try and find that lair, because there's no guarantee we will actually find it. So we're off. We're taking Solomon with us. I don't know yet if he's going to appear in the battle, but he's going to come with us just to witness it. If we decide to deploy him in the battle, we have to use that once in a campaign thing. But let's first of all find out if we manage to do any travelling safely to get to this lair. So the travelling roll is 111. So D100, the lower the better, because we don't want to get into any trouble before we have to fight the golem. And 90. Oh, for a second there I thought we got lost again, but I misread it. That was 96. I am having a little bit of trouble with my numeracy today, it must be said. This sometimes happens when I've got a migraine coming on, and I do feel a little dizzy, so it's possible. I'll take something for it in a break. An obstacle bars your way. Okay. Roll on the obstacles table. I didn't even know there was an obstacles table, so this is going to be interesting. Ah, right. Okay, obstacles. They're rolling a D100. There may be a river crossing. There may be marshlands or broken grounds. Well, we know there's a lot of marshlands form up around this lake from time to time. And it's spring, so it's conceivably possible that a lot of runoff has caused this land to be marshy. There's broken ground where we are going up into the mountains. That would make sense. A toll booth. Well, we've passed here twice in the past. There's never been one, but this entire region is nomad lands. So, you know, they might have temporarily set a toll post up. Deep woods. Well, we do have to travel through the deep woods. Unnatural terrain is if we get 91 or better. So let's roll and find out. This is all quite exciting to find out what's going to happen. What we've encountered. 68 deep woods. The deeper you get, the more it feels like the woods will swallow you whole. Make an 8+ pathwise test. If you fail, you are hopelessly lost. For the love of... How many times have we been lost so far? Twice already. This is a possibility of a third time. Let's find out. If you fail, you're hopelessly lost, in which case you must camp and then roll to travel again the following campaign turn. Okay, so let's find out. Do I have anybody with pathwise? I think I've got somebody with ranger's cloak, so that would give him a +1. But pathwise would be better, it would give him +2. And do you know, Yanaro has? That was what he gained after that fight. He gained a skill. And the skill he gained, as luck would have it, as pathwise. So that's +2. There's D6 +2. Let's see how it goes. 2D6 +2 rather. An 8 or better. 10 with the +2. That's 12. We've not gotten lost, so we've managed to find our way through these actually quite alarming woods, if I'm entirely honest. We've managed to find our way through them. Up into the hills, into the foothills, and now the mountains, and we're looking for where we think this golem is laid. Solomon is sure it's laid here somewhere. It's been raiding nomad caravans that have gone past here, but he hasn't actually seen the lair. He's got a rough idea, which is going to give us that +1 you get, pardon me, for when it's part of a contract or a quest. Okay, so I'm going to say we've found it so we can get some action in this campaign turn. So I'm just going to hand you over to the break while I set up the lair of the golem ready for our action phase. So I will see you in just a moment's time.
Emergency, emergency, emergency. Level 4 reality failure detected at 54.975 degrees north by -1.61054 4, 6 degrees east. Reality fracture imminent. All reality repair teams in the area respond immediately. Multiple Cassandra series entropy stalkers have been dispatched from Mothership via astral gates to coordinate emergency reality repair attempts. This is not a drill. This is not a drill. Reality fracture imminent. Reality fracture imminent. Emergency, emergency, emergency.
The Entropy Effect, a new tabletop RPG by Gethsemane Games, an exploration of why sometimes reality is not as fixed as we believe. A game of half possibilities and dark science fiction horror in which the players take on the role of entropy stalkers, genetically engineered members of reality repair teams sent to stop reality from collapsing. A game in which anything is possible. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Gethsemane Games, or search for Gethsemane Games on DriveThruRPG, the world's largest online game store. Okay, so welcome back after the break, and the first thing I'm going to do is point out that while I was making the rolls to set up this particular action, it came to my attention that I'd missed something major after the completion of the last quest step, because whenever you fight a monster, an abomination, it has a special number that comes with it, and based on that number you get certain advantages, one of which is you get that number of rolls on the loot table after you've defeated it. You also get that many bonus experience points and so on. Now, I remembered that I did get the bonus experience points because that's referenced somewhere else again, but what I didn't do was make 2 rolls on the loot table, which I should have done. Now, I was torn not to bother to retcon that and say we just left it behind, and then I realised that we'd actually had to search the cave fairly extensively to make sure the creature wasn't in it, and then when we ambushed the creature we had to search its body fairly extensively to find the quest items for Hermit, and I thought there was no way we were going to miss these loot items. So I took the liberty of rolling on the loot table, and this is what we found. We've got 2 results. The first result was a enchanted potion, which when I rolled on the enchanted potion table, it's a spring vial, which is a fantastic item, because if you give that to one of your warband afterwards, it will undo any injuries they roll on the after battle injury table. So I could have given it to Leonidas and healed him immediately, but I felt I would have kept that for something much more serious, because he had a major injury, but not a sort of medium level injury, but not a life-threatening one. Because you can also use them to bring somebody back from the brink of death. So instead of a character dying, you can give them this potion. I'm pretty sure I'd have kept it for that. So we still have the spring potion. And on the second roll, I rolled suit of armor, and when I rolled on the suit of armor subtable, the result I got was a suit of partial armor with a shield. Okay, so I know I just bought a suit of partial armor, but I'm going to keep to that. I'm going to say I still bought it because now that gives us 2 suits of partial armor and 2 suits of light armor as well. No, sorry, it does give us 3 suits. Yeah, the one we had, the one we bought, and the one we found on the Ogre. So I'm now going to give out that suit of partial armour. So we know that Leonidas is wearing one of the suits of partial armour, and we know that Balthazar, I think, is wearing the other suit of partial armour, which means I have to choose between Kanji and Ekanath. And now, or I could give one to Altran or Yonaro, our human members. Now I feel that we're likely to give the suit of armour to somebody who's likely to be a target. So that's likely to be Kanji or Ekanath, because Kanji tends to get himself into action, and Ekanath is a mage, so is a high value target. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to give the partial armour to Kanji, because he does tend to go ahead. I know Ekanath used to, but Kanji talked him into it, letting them go first with the Ogre, and it went kind of quite well. So I think Kanji's going to ask to go first again this time. So he's going to take the partial armour, and the suit of light armour that he was wearing is going to go to Altran, who is our longest serving follower, who became, you'll remember, a hero. Got stepped up with an insight roll. So he's going to now be wearing partial armour. Sorry, not partial armour. No. Light armour of 1. And that's the light armour that Kanji doesn't wear now, because Kanji now has partial armour. So there you go. That's the loot that I should have got. Didn't roll at the time. So all I can assume is we spotted the strand, we grabbed it, we saw this big bag of loot, and we took that, and later on we kind of divvied it up. So anyway, we've divvied it up. I'm going to add the spring vial to my backpack, because that still keeps me under 8 items in the backpack, and I can carry 8 items in that. Now the backpack is items you bring with you on the adventure that any member of the team can use. They're not strapped to a specific character. Any item, any character in the team can use them, as long as they're in your backpack. You also have a stash back at town or camp, which has can have other equipment, but actually we can carry everything we own, because anything that isn't strapped to us comes to under 8 items we can carry in the backpack. So there you go. Okay, so with that, let's move on to this. Now we know that today we are up against a golem, the bronze golem that's been terrorizing this area. We've managed to find the bronze golem's lair up in the mountains, and it's a ruined temple. I'm going to take you over to it now. I've been dying to use this map. Now this temple is a map that's not by us. It came with my Roll20 Pro account, I'm pretty sure, and I'm not 100% sure who made it. Sometimes they've got their names in the corner. So if you made it and you would like a credit in the video, let me know and I'll add that to the video credits, because this is a brilliant map. It's really evocative. I really like it. I've been trying to use it for something. This is what it's going to get used for. You notice we came in on the top left on the bronze golem itself. It isn't actually standing there. That is just where I've put it out of the way, because it's another one of these where we have to find the thing first, and it's going to be hidden behind one of the special items. So I'm going to move that onto the Games Master's lair, just so it's out of the way a little bit. There you go. It's almost invisible. We can just about see it. And then I'm going to pan down. And again, this is going to be one of these adventures where the dynamic lighting is going to be important. Also, Yonaro still appears to be sporting sporting a out of ammunition marker, which he won't be now, because we've topped up our ammunition, ready to come in to this action. So don't forget, if you're in action and you roll a 1 on a missile weapon, you've run out of ammunition, unless that was the first shot of the round, because nobody shows up to the adventure with just a single arrow. Okay, so we're about to start, and once again Ekanath is about to take off and begin the scouting. And Kanji puts a paw on his chest and says, "Boss, let me." Ekanath looks at him and says, "Well, it worked very well the last time, I suppose, didn't it? Okay, why not? Yes. Lead us off, but be careful." "I'm always careful, boss." Ekanath kind of looks at him with a squint. "Well, always is a strong term, Kanji. A very strong term indeed. But we trust you. Go ahead." So he is going to lead us off in this, and again, you've encountered these lair adventures before, where you have to send somebody in to scout, and they begin 6 inches from the table edge. Now technically the other guy's supposed to start off the edge and you just put a marker. It's just easy for me to leave those miniatures on there, but they don't actually arrive until it says they do in the adventure scenario. So scout deployment, Kanji begins within 6 inches of the entry point. So he's going to start, I'm very tightly focused in there, I'll just pull that out a little bit. He's going to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's a stained glass window there, so he's going to be peering through that stained glass window. Anybody on the other side would just see this little kitty head appear, just like the tips of his ears and then the top of his head, and then his eyes as he peers blinkingly through the window to see what he can see. And he peers within, and what he can see is, he can see there is something behind the altar, but he can't quite make out what it is. He can see it from this distance. I assume he can't. Let me just measure that in case I do get a chance to roll. Actually, it's 12 squares away. If I roll my search and get 12, then I could actually scout that from here, believe it or not. So I'll consider it. But let me just get back to Kanji. What else he sees is a ruined temple where everything has been smashed and abandoned for a long time now, and I can't seem to get the view to work again. This happened the last time, so let me just refresh. Meanwhile, I try and decide what am I going to do. I'm going to try and scout that from here. I think, although the rules allow the opportunity, I don't think the logic of being able to search it from here, that distance, through a window, I'm going to say I've got to get closer than that in order to reconnoitre that. So that's the scout deployment. So from now on we begin the scout phase. Scouting the lair takes place in a series of moves. Each move the scout may move up to their normal movement speed in any direction. At the end of each move, roll 2d6. If any unusual locations are within the line of sight and closer in inches than the dice roll, the closest such location has been scouted. Okay, so as you know, there is a chance that we don't encounter the beast at all, but that might give us an opportunity to ambush him, but that's about all it would do, because we've got to destroy this thing. The point of this adventure is to destroy the monster, not to loot it. So if we don't find it, then all we do is set up an ambush, as we did with the ogre. So this is the first movement phase, and Kanji is going to, I think, well, he's seen that item, so he's looking for the closest door. Now he remembers seeing one up this path along here, so he's going to creep around that way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there's a bit of broken down wall here, so he's going to clamber through that rather than trying to go in the main entrance, which might be trapped. He's going to clamber through the ruined part of the wall, and he's now got quite a good line of sight on that thing, so I think I will now make that reconnaissance roll. It's actually still 11 away from it, so he's still quite a distance, so he would need to roll I think I've just realised why I couldn't do the thing before. It's because I was still on the measure. So he would need an 11, but he does get +2 on scouting because he has the scout skill. So 2d6 +2, and he needs to beat 11 to have scouted 7, so he can't quite make out what that is over there behind the altar. He's aware there is something there, but he just can't quite make out what it is. So I think he is going to have to get a little bit closer. So this is the next round. 1, 2, oh now there's 2 of them. 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to creep up on this one, and we're going to measure and see what this is. It's now only 4 squares away, so if this is the beast, it's a dangerously close place to have started. But let's just give this dice roll, see what if we've reconnoitred this area properly or not. I get to add +2. Actually, in point of fact, I couldn't have failed, could I? Because it's only 4 away. So it's 8, so we've definitely reconnoitred whatever this thing is, which means I roll on 1d100 on the curious locations table. So let me find the curious locations table. There it is, giving me d100, 99. Oh shit. Beast aware. The beast is here and is ready to pounce. Place the monster figure on the location, then immediately move it. Oh god, a normal move directly towards the scout. Oh shit. Now luckily for me, I happen to know the beast only has a movement of 3, so it's going to be 1 square shy of jumping me. So I've come round there thinking, is this an actual statue? Or, and then it's suddenly, well, let me just find it first. Let me go onto the Games Master's lair and drag it over to here. There it is. Drop it down on the token lane. We'll zoom in a little bit. So as Kanji's come around that corner thinking, is that a statue? Or is that an actual... is that actually the golem? I'm just not quite sure. And I need to go back onto the objects. Something happens which leaves him in no doubt. The statue turns and steps forwards, advancing on him. So it starts there. 1, 2, 3. So if it began there, it's 1, 2. Oh no, it can make it to him. Can it? How come I measured 4? Let me just check, because it begins there. Yeah, that's 4 of these away. So it is just shy. It isn't though, is it? It really just isn't. It has actually reached him, so it's in combat and Kanji's in trouble already. So this thing has advanced towards him. It's stepping down, and does it say it can make an immediate attack, or just that we begin a combat? Vicious here is ready to pounce. Place the monster figure on a location and immediately move it in a normal move directly towards the scout. Proceed to step 3. Page 150. Okay, step 3. The fight begins. Okay, all remaining curious locations are removed from the table. How to set up depends on the situation. The monster was roaming, the monster was aware. Place each warband member within 1 move of the entry point. The scout may take a single move, then roll for initiative. Oh, thank the Lord for that. So it's stepped down towards him, and Kanji's sort of yipped and starts to back away, because this thing is huge. It's a good sort of 4 meters tall. He yells for help. The others start rushing in. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ekanath 1, 2, 3, 4. Leonidas 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because he's fast. 1, 2, 3, 4 there for our friend. And Kanji gets to go. Now luckily for me, Kanji is fast. Kanji has a movement of 6, and you can bet he's using it. This thing is huge. He doesn't like the look of it. He doesn't like the chance of being able to breach it. I have to say, it's slow, so we do have an advantage of being able to stay out of the way, but its armour and its toughness mean that actually beating this thing might be beyond us. If we'd run out of ammunition before it runs out of hit points, and that's quite likely, given when the dice rolls we're going to need, then things could go badly for us. But anyway, Kanji gets to move first, so he sees this thing coming, yelps for help, and just turns tail and legs it, because he's not stupid. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I think we'll go 6. So he's going to take cover behind this piece of broken down, what's the name, and from there, is he going to move any further? Because he could do a lope. No, I think it said a standard movement, so I'm going to say that's just a move, so no dash, so just his 6, which is it's good nonetheless. And we go straight into action. This is combat round 1. I'm getting my little self quite excited, actually, because I can see the attributes for this thing, and I know what a hell of a fight we've got on our hands. If the dice go badly, we could run out of ammunition and have to fight it in hand to hand. And I really, really, really do not want to have to do that, because in hand to hand, we are going to get flattened. So let's roll initiative. There are 6 of us in action. There's Kanji, there's Ekanath, there's Balthazar, Leonidas, Altran, and Yunaro. So that's 6 dice for initiative. Remembering Kanji's now gone up to an agility of 3, so he can activate in a fast turn on a 1, 2, or a 3. So I'm just going to roll roll 6d6. And I misspelled roll, look at that. Roll 6d6. Okay, 1, 2 5s, a 2, and 2 more 5s. So, I've only got 2 people that can act first. With the 2, it can either be Kanji or Ekanath can use the 2, and anyone can use the 1. So, Kanji's going to use the 2, because he has to stay out of range of this creature to stay alive. Who is going to take the 1? I think there is a danger that Leonidas will just race in and attack it because he's quite aggressive, but that's a mistake he's made once before. I cannot see him wanting to make that mistake again. I'm just going to delete these as I find them, by the way. So I think one of our archers is going to go first, and I think it is going to be Altran who's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and isn't actually going to be able to get a clear shot. And he wouldn't anyway, because he's moved too far. He's not one of us, so he doesn't get a lope and run. That does mean he can take a dash of 3, so I will. 1, 2. He's going to take up position sort of there to get a clear shot at the thing on the next round, he hopes. Actually he's not, because it's going to move, so he's going to move 1 further. I'll just put the little marker on so we know that he's already moved. So Kanji next, he's going to shoot and then run. That's if he can shoot from there. And yeah, he can't see it from there, so does he hold position when he's in cover? Does he? Hell, he's off. He's hoping that this thing won't see the direction he runs in, because it big, he not. And I'll just delete that while we're here. So he doesn't want to lead it straight towards the others just yet. He wants to give them an opportunity to get some shots off at it first. So he is going to... God, he needs to be visible to it, and he needs to actually make sure it does see where he goes so that he can lure it into a trap. So he's going to go 1, 2, yelling, whooping, 3, 4 to keep its attention. 4. I think that's it. I think he's going to stay there, and that's his move done. Now, I'm not sure. I know if you do activate in the fast action and then don't act, you can still act in the slow, but I'm not sure because he's moved whether he can shoot or not. So I'm going to say for the first round he's not going to get to shoot, even though the beast now gets to move into line of sight. 1, 2, 3. coming thundering down these steps. Clang, clang, clang. It's huge bronze frame moving in towards Kanji, who has seen the thing coming from a distance and is nervous. I'm going to say he doesn't get an opportunity to shoot. I've just thought I need to check and see if this thing has any special powers. So I need to come back to page 152 in a moment, but I do need to just check Golem, because some creatures have special abilities as well. Yes, this has knockback as a trait. Okay, I will need to look knockback or... Oh, good lord, sorry, I've lost the ability to speak. I will have to check knockback in the event that anybody gets into hand-to-hand combat with him, but obviously we're going to be trying very, very hard not to do that. I don't think we'll be successful, but I'll look knockback up when the time comes. Right now I need to get back over to my lair combat so I can follow the instructions. So that's page 148. There we go. And it's actually really just a straightforward fight now. So the creature's moved. My slower acting guys get the move. So Leonidas, he can see the thing from there. Even he's going to have the sense to realise that this thing needs to be weakened up first. So he is going to take up a position there, peering around that corner so he can see if it changes direction. But that's all he's going to do this round. And we're going to have Balthazar's going to move in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let's see if Balthazar can take a shot at this thing or not. No, he can't see it. He can't see it. Okay, so the new guy, Janosch, I forgot his name. Janosch, something like that. Yanaro is going to move 1, 2, 3, 4 and peer around that pillar to see if he can see the thing. Well, let's see, can he? Not really. I mean, I can see the corner of the token, but I don't think that's enough to call even an obscured shot. I'm going to say can't take that shot. Ekanath, on the other hand, he's going to move over to this window to take a close look at what's going on. Now, what can he do? To be entirely honest, there's not a great deal he can do at this point. We can look at his spells. I could use Premonition to get an extra action next round. I could use Steel Break actually to reduce the monster's armor, which might be good because the monster's got a lot of armor. But I think we need to hold till we're in a better position and we can start feathering it with arrows. So I think that's everybody who's gone now. So I'm going to start taking the fast action movement markers off. So no violence was exchanged so far. Everybody just manoeuvred for position. Nobody got a clear shot. So I'm going to roll 6d6 again. So I can just do an upward and a press. There we go. That gives me a 4, 4, 1, a 4, a 2 and a 4. So once again, only 2 of our people can act in the first, in the fast action, and the 1 can go to anybody, but the 2 can only go to Kanji or Ekanath if I want them to get in the fast actions. Kanji's going to take the 2, so he gets to act fast, and I'm going to say that I think we're going to have Altran take the second fast action movement. And I think Altran is actually going to activate first because I want him to move. Now he can only move 2 and still get a shot, so I need to make sure that okay, something odd has happened. Ah, right, okay. Roll 20 has hung. That's great, isn't it? So let me just see if I can get it moving again. Aha! Yeah, there we go. There's no... I need to put his dynamic lighting token vision on and try that again. Right, so yes, he can get a shot from there, but I think if I draw a straight line, we're going to find that that column is covered. Actually, it's not. Look at that. Doesn't even go through that square. That's not cover. But it is 14 squares away, and with a self bow, I think 14 is a maximum range. So it is in range anyway, so that's okay. So what I need to do now is just check, because I think he's going to need 5 or 6 to hit, but I would just like to check that so that I don't make a mistake. So let me go to ranged attacks. Within 6, no. Within weapon range and in the open, which he is. So yeah, I'm correct. It's a 5 or a 6. Hello there, kitten. There's my actual cat. It's just come in. Not entirely happy with the food that's out in front of her. She's obviously sick of turkey, just like the rest of us. As I say, I'm playing this not long after Christmas. It's the 27th, but you won't hear this for another couple of weeks. So that's Altran. He's hit it with a self bow, which means he needs to score a... What's the creature's armour? I think the creature's armour is a 4, which means he's going to need a 4 just to beat its armour alone. Yes, and then his toughness is 6, so he needs to roll a 6. So let's have a go. So armour first, D4, D6 rather, 4 or better. Nope, bang. So that arrow's hit, but it's bounced off the creature's armour. This is what we were afraid of. Hitting is one thing, doing any damage whatsoever is quite another. Kanji's going to shoot and then run, and because he's got lope and run, he doesn't have to make a half move. So he is going to fire, and at that range he hits on a 3 or better. That's a 5, so he's hit. He's gone straight through its armour, and he hasn't overcome its toughness, but that's okay. It'll still do an injury. It just won't kill it outright. So I should have actually popped this. So that's a 6 and a 6 there. I did think I'd set this up a bit better, but no. So that's 4 and that is 6. Okay, so it's taken 1 wound. Now it doesn't say anything about these creatures not being able to be stunned, so I think it is actually stunned. Even though it is a golem and you would imagine that a construct couldn't be stunned, there is a special trait that tells you that the thing can't be stunned. Undead have it, but this construct doesn't, so I think it's stunned and it's taken a wound. Kanji's injured it. He's feeling a little bit pleased with himself. He's going to slip away to try and get into a position where he can stay out of danger. 1, 2, 3. We're starting to head up a thing there, so I'm going to say that takes 2. That's 4, 5, 6 to get halfway up this cliff face. And I just want to turn him. I want to turn him, but it doesn't seem to be able to turn him. Let me just try and grab that adjustment handle. There we go. So he's done some damage to it, which is great news. But that's all he's done so far, and now it has to decide, does it go after him or does it turn to see what happened behind it. Now I think, logically speaking, it's going to go after him because it knows it's relatively close to him compared to whatever shot is from behind. So it's not going to do what Kanji was thinking. It's not going to come the same route he did. He's going to go through this ruined wall. 1, 2, 3. So there's bits of masonry falling as it plows through the already ruined wall, but it kind of scrapes the edge, just knocks bits of masonry off, and there's masonry dust and all sorts as it thunders out way closer to Kanji than he was expecting it to be, and Kanji's like, oh shit. But that's as close as the thing can get. Now, does the ogre get a dash move. Sorry, not ogre, the golem get a dash move. It doesn't. So 3 is as far as it can go. So it's definitely a huge advantage to us that it's so slow. But as I say, it's tough and we could easily run out of ammunition before we can bring it down. So slow movement turn. Leonidas is going to risk coming in. 1, 2, 3. He's still taking cover, so he's not positioning himself in danger just yet. Balthazar curses because he realizes this thing is getting away, so he's going to have to clamber over all this ruins as well. 1, 2. That's as far. Oh no, he's got lope and run because he is a cat person, so he can come into this position of cover, and then we can see, can he see the creature? I don't think he can see enough of that to call that a shot. No. So he's moved 3 so far. He could move 1 more. That really might not help him, but I'm going to try it. He moves to there, and it didn't help him. So no, that's him done for the round. Inaros is going to 1, 2, 3, 4. He doesn't have loping run, so he can't get a shot off even if he could see the thing. And you can kind of see a bit of it. You can see his foot, so it would have been in cover. He'd have needed a 6, but he doesn't get a shot because of his choice to move as far as he did. So we're positioning ourselves, but things are not going great for us right now. Ekanath's a little worried. He's been left out of position, so he needs to decide which way he's going in. He needs to be close enough to the action to be useful, but not so close that he's liable to get his head knocked off. But I think he's probably going to head over through this gap because everybody else has gone through that one. There's a lot of people stumbling about that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and he is going to dash 1, 2, 3. He's going to dash to here. And he's contemplating casting a spell. He's contemplating it. He is at this point. Actually, can he even see the enemy for the spell I want to cast? He can't, so it doesn't matter. So that's it. That's the end of the round. So that's round 2 completed, and I'm going to take the mark off Altran and Kanji, and we are going to hope for a good roll this time. So another 6d6 / roll 6d6 and a 2, a 3. So Kanji can take the 3, a 1 and 2 more 2s. Okay, so Ekanath can take one of the 2s. Somebody can take one of the 1s. The other 2 2s are lost because there's nobody else that's that good. But Kanji gets to go first again because he can take either a 2 or a 3 to do it. Ekanath can take a 2. So I think Ekanath is going to cast a spell this round. But I think he's going to do that after moving. Because he really needs... There are 2 spells he could use. And one of them doesn't really need to see the enemy. So if he winds up in a position where he still can't see the opponent, then I'll consider the other spell. So he is going to... He yells over to... Where is it? It's over there. It's over there. It's gone through that gap on the stairs. So he realizes it's far enough that he can risk this. He's going to race 1, 2, 3, 4, and then... actually, I think that's as far as I can justifiably run. Unless I want to use my dash instead of one of my other actions. Do you know, I think I'm going to. 2, 3. He's getting dangerously close to this creature, but it doesn't know he's there yet, to be fair, because it is behind him. So he's gone first. It is then Kanji who's going to shoot and then try and draw the thing away. So he's going to shoot first and ask questions later. So 3 or better to hit. 3, that's a hit. Does he overcome the armor of 4? No, he doesn't, so it just bounces off this thing's bronze hide, and that's enough for him. He's going to make a run for it. 1, 2, 3, 4. He's going to run to there because he thinks he's still got enough advanced position on this thing. He's probably quite right. This thing, therefore, seeing him, is going to thunder towards him. That's 1, 2, 3 squares forwards. As it thunders down after this annoying Catman that's bouncing pins off it, not realising that that has brought him into range of some of the others. So, first of all, it is slightly in cover from Yanaros here, so that would be within weapon range and concealed behind. Do you think he is actually? Because you can see the full model, but we're assuming he takes up all 4 of those squares, so it should be in the middle. Yes, I think that's in cover, so I'm going to say that's a 6 I need to hit. That's a miss, so that shot goes thump and misses completely. Yanaros is probably going to move ready because he knows that thing is going to move next round. It's continuing to move, so he wants to be there so he can fire up through this gap here as the thing lumbers forwards. So we now go over to Balthazar, who has no view on the thing, so he's going to have to... does he risk coming? No, he doesn't actually. He will move 1, 2, 3, 4. Now do I see him? Yes, but it's in cover, so he needs a 6 to hit. 3. No, he hasn't hit. He hasn't hit either. So it is Altran left, and Altran's got no chance of seeing him from there, I don't think. But we will advance him into 2, 3, 4. He comes up to there. Still can't see the beast by any stretch of the imagination. So that's us done. And Ekanath, you'll notice, didn't cast a spell that round. So that's that round gone as well. That was the 3rd round, I think. So we're now into combat round 4. And we need Kanji to be able to keep score an initiative win so he can keep out of... Because if he fails twice, then the thing's liable to be able to catch him. If he fails this time, the thing only gets 2, 3, within 3 moves of him. Within 3 steps of him, so it still wouldn't catch him this round. But if he was to fail to win initiative 2 rounds running, things would get very, very different and very awkward very quickly. Also, he needs to try and keep this thing in position, so let's just make that roll. I'm contemplating a very dangerous idea. I don't know that it's a good one. Okay, so I've got a 1, a 1, a 2 and a 3, so a lot of people are going to go first this time because Kanji can take one of the 3s and go in the fast action round. Ekanath can take the 2 and also go in the fast action round. And I've got 2 1s that I can give to anybody I like, so I'm going to give those to Yanaros and to Balthazar as well, because we already know that these 2 guys can see the thing. It's in cover, but they can see it, so they're going to fire first. Yanaros is going to fire first. That's a 2, it's a miss. Balthazar next. That's a 6, that's a hit. It has hit his armour. Unfortunately, it's just deflected off his armour. I would have needed 1 point better to get past the armour, so that's unfortunate. Now then, are they going to move? They are not going to move. They're going to stay. Well, actually, they know this thing's going to move, don't they? So I think they do, because they need to keep eyes on it in order to be any use. So they're going to move to there, getting a little bit dangerously close to it themselves. Now Kanji's going to fire at it. And he scores a 5, that's a hit, and a 2, that deflects off its armour. I am sorely tempted not to move him. But then if he doesn't get initiative next round, the creature would be in at them. No, I think we're going to have to move him. It's a bit of a problem because it means he might not be luring it away from them, and he's not going to have eyes on it either. Do I risk staying in place this round in the hopes of gaining initiative next round? I think we do have... Yes. He's going to stay put. He is going to stay put. So it's Ekanath to go next. So then Ekanath is going to step there where he can see clearly. And Ekanath is going to cast Iron Break. Because if he's successful, it means the creature's armor rating drops by 1 for an entire round. Actually, that would be this round, so there's not much point because nearly everybody's shot at it. So he isn't going to do that at all. I think instead I'll cast Premonition so that everybody gets... so that we get 1 extra dice in initiative. That would be very helpful since we need Kanji to do well. So yes, I'm going to attempt that. So the target number for Premonition is 7, but I do have Devotion, so I get +2. So 2d6 +2. This is using one of my standard strands. 12. So everybody is relieved because we're going to get an additional dice next round. So this creature is thundering towards Kanji. 1, 2, 3. And if he doesn't get out of the way next round, then it's caught up to him and he will be in real trouble. Leonidas can see what's happening and he's thinking now that he might have to try and outflank this thing. 1, 2, 3. Is Leonidas one of the fast ones? I have a feeling he is. He is, so he's still got another 3 movement yet. 1, 2, 3. He's running around there to try and outflank it. We have Altran, who can see it. It is in cover from him, but he does have a shot through these pillars, through this archway here, and this piece of broken wall. He does have a shot. She's going to give it a try. 6 he needs. Oh no! He's rolled a 1 and he's run out of ammunition. Because this is not his first shot of the game, so he has run out of ammunition. That's unfortunate. This is exactly what I was worried about. If we run out of ammunition during the course of this game and have to take the damn thing on in hand to hand, then we will struggle a lot. Anyway, that is the end. Oh no, he can move. So 1, 2, 3, 4. He might as well. So Ekanath loses his fast action marker, as does everybody else. Okay, so Kanji is dangerously close to this creature now, and we're rolling 7d6 this round because of that premonition spell. Roll 7d6, and we've scored. We've scored a 3 and a 1. We've got 2 3s actually. So Kanji's definitely going to get to go first, which is good news. He can pick either of the 3s, and one other person can go first with a 1. So I think it's going to be this guy here who still has a shot at the creature. In fact, I just realised he's using a crossbow. I hadn't been accounting for the how much more powerful they are, but I don't think it's mattered from the dice rolls I would have had anyway. It's +1 bypass toughness. It's worth remembering though. Okay, so I think we'll roll Kanji first because I'm very nervous about Kanji. So he gets d6 to try and hit this creature. 3 or better, and 4. That's a hit. He needs a 5 or a 6 to get past its armor. It's past its armor. Now then, if he scores a 6 here, he's done 2 injuries instead of 1. But no, he's only done the 1 and he's stunned it again. I hadn't actually taken the stun marker off from the last time, so I'll leave it. So he's managed to find a weak point, and there's an arrow stuck through one of the joints of this thing, and you can see kind of hot liquid metal draining out of it where this is hit, but only in drips. It's not heavy yet. Kanji knows he can't stand around long to take a look at this. He's going to have to use the advantage of his great speed and lope and run and get the hell out of there. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to there. And the creature now has to choose, does it go around the corner or does it come after these other archers? I think it goes after the guy it's been chasing for the start, because that'll take it round the corner and mean a lot of other people are just not going to be able to hit it. And that's kind of what it wants, unsurprisingly. So 1, 2, 3 to here, and I need to turn the marker. So it's lumbering around that corner. It's become harder for everybody else to get a bead on it. However, it is what it is, and it's the slow action section. So Balthazar is going to move 1, 2. He's going to take cover behind this and wait to see if he can get a shot at this monster. It hasn't come into his view yet, so he's just kind of hunkered down waiting for it to come past where he can see, or waiting for him to get a good idea which direction he should head in. Altran, who's out of ammunition again, 1, 2, 3, 4, he's going to dash over there. Leonidas is 1, 2, 3, 4, waiting to ambush that thing as it comes round, and he's going to wind up out of the fight again. I know he is. And Ekanath is going to move 1, 2, 3, 4. I think he might even dash, just so he can keep an eye on the battle and know what's the best thing for him to do. 1, 2, 3. He's going to move to there, and that's him done. So that's everybody done. So let's move the fast action markers off the people who went first, and let's roll for another round. Now this thing's getting close to Kanji. He could do with beating it. He doesn't absolutely have to this round. We don't get the extra dice from the premonition this time. I'm pretty sure that's once a round and not the entire battle. Let me just double check. So premonition, next initiative roll. Yeah, okay. So yeah, everybody's going to have to pick from these 6d6, 6d6, and we have a 1. That's it. Then it's 4, 5s, and 6s. So it's a 1. So do I give it to Kanji? I absolutely do give it to Kanji, definitely. He needs to get back out of the way of this thing, if at all possible. So he's going to shoot first and then run. So he hits on a 3 or better. Oh no! No! Kanji's run out of ammunition. This is a disaster. Kanji's the only person to have hit the damn thing yet, and he's not got any arrows left in the panicked run, the hit and run and the slip and slide of the battle. He's probably dropped an arrow or 2. He's probably used some hunting and whatnot to get here, and he just doesn't have any left in his quiver, so he's going to have... This is why I wanted that bigger quiver that I couldn't get. So he's going to have to run out the way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is exactly what I was afraid of. That's 2 of our 4 archers have run out of ammunition. And if we don't have the ammunition to bring this thing down, we're going to have to fight it in hand to hand, and we are going to get flattened by this thing in hand to hand. So let's hope for the best. So it's the creature to go next. It goes 1, 2, 3, and I'm not sure whether Balthazar will be able to see it, because he can get to go next. And no, he can't. So his options are to try and move. Oh God. If he moves to where he's going to be able to see it, then the thing can get to him. See, I've never said the thing can get to him. So I'll tell you what he's going to do. He's going to clamber on top of this piece of cover for a better chance. Can he see it yet? No. He move one more. He can just see it from there, but it is in cover. He is going to need a 6 to hit it. And 4, that's a miss. Okay. So it is Altran next. And he's going to have to reposition himself, so he knows that Kanji's dragged it around the southern area here. He's going to 1, 2, 3, 4. And I think he will dash 1, 2 as well to get into position for a future round of missile fire. I just can't catch that handle to turn him around into the right facing. Let's just try that again. There we go, because that crossbow's, it packs a decent punch. It gets +1 to overcome armor, so that's quite nice. Okay, so Altran is 1, 2, 3, 4. He might as well dash as well for 1, 2. Ekanath. Okay, Ekanath is going to head back in this way. 1, 2, 3, 4. And he's going to cast his second spell. He is going to cast darts. Now darts would give, that looks like it gives everybody. Let me just check that. That looks very much like it gives everybody who's run out an extra one. Darts. Next. Target a character that is out of ranged weapon ammunition. They immediately restack their ammunition. This does not work on a single use weapon. Now, last time I cast that, I made the mistake of saying it only gave you 1 extra shot, and it doesn't. So it's, oh, it doesn't say 1 all, it says 1 ally. So that's a lot better than I thought it was. I might not be in the disastrous position I'm in. Now, it doesn't say that you need to be able to see the person you're casting on, but I'm going to say you probably do. So I'm going to try and cast it. I mean, Kanji would be the best person to cast it on, but I can't see him. I'm going to try and cast it on Altran instead. And I need a 7 to cast darts. No, a 6 to cast darts. And I get +2. So I'm going to attempt to cast darts. 2d6 +2, and I need to beat 6. And that's it. Yes. So Altran's quiver of arrows suddenly fills up again, and not, as I said in the previous battle, with 1 extra arrow. It fills, so he doesn't run out again until he rolls another 1. And obviously the first shot, he can't run out on the first shot, so his quiver's now full again. So that's great news. That's the end of the slow movement round, and we are starting to converge into an area, pardon me, where I'm going to have to try and decide, are we going to be daft enough to get into hand-to-hand combat with it? I don't think we dare just yet. It has a lot of hit points left, but let's worry about that shortly. First things very much first, roll 6d6. And what we really want is a 3, a 2, and everything else 1s. That would be great news. It's not what we got, but we did get a 2 and a 1. So, I would say I'm going to give the 1 to Balthazar. There we go. I'm going to give the 2. Is there any point in giving the 2 to Kanji at this point? If he can't shoot it from there. Do you know, I think it's probably still worth... yeah, I mean, there's nobody else to, so he'll also move first. However, all Kanji can do this time is just pull back, just try and keep away from the thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He might as well make a loop and run. 1, 2, 3. He's trying to get into Balthazar's eye line so that Balthazar can re-equip him with arrows. Now, next person to go first is Balthazar. Sorry, did I say he's trying to get into Ekanath's eye line so he can re-equip him with arrows. Balthazar's to go next, and so he's going to take another shot at this creature. That's 2d6. Sorry, that's 1d6. And at that range, we know that there's cover, so I'm going to say it's a 6. I'm not going to say it is a 6 he needs. And 5, it's a near miss, but it is a miss. So it is the creature to go, and I think the creature realises he can't catch Kanji, so he's going to look for a slower target. And this idiot that's shooting at him is really starting to annoy him. So I'm going to zoom in on that damnably tricky to use handle, and we are going to move him up here. That's 1, 2, 3. So he's going to be standing right there, almost on top of Balthazar, who suddenly realises just how big this damn thing is and gulps a little bit and thinks, I really wish I'd moved, because if I don't get to go before it next time, I'm in bother. And he certainly would be. So let's hope I get at least 1, otherwise Balthazar is indeed in trouble. So it's the slow movers next. Janosch is going to 1, 2, that's as far as he can go, and still get a shot. He can't get a shot anyway, so he might as well move a little bit further. 1, 2, 3, he can dash to there. Balthazar is going to pull back just a little bit to be on the safe side. This guy's going to come 1, 2, 3, 4, and he actually might be able to see from there, but I doubt it. No, he can, but let me just... Yeah, so he can, but the guy's in cover, so he needs to roll a 6 to hit. 1. Luckily, he's just had his arrows magically rearmed, so he doesn't have to say he's run out. Can't run out on the first shot, so that's him done. It is... And I think Leonidas might have to get in hand to hand here, to be honest, because the thing is getting close. So he's going to have to dash back round here. I don't know, he could try and come round on its flank. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I'm going to come up this way. And that's that round done. So let's remove the fast acting markers. Now then, I really need a 1 this round, because if I don't get a 1, Balthazar doesn't get away before this creature moves. So, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. 3d6. No, sorry, 6d6. Backslash roll 6d6, and at least a 1, please. And there wasn't one. The only person that's going to get to go first is Kanji, and this is a disaster because Balthazar's about to get flattened. So Kanji's going to run in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then lope and run 1, 2, 3 to here. He's now close enough so that Ekanath can see him and cast a spell. We now go over to the creature's action, and it advances on poor Balthazar, who's about to have his teeth knocked out, I would imagine. So the creature makes an attack. It has... where's my stats for the creature now? It has... Actually, it only gets +1 in combat, so we might be lucky yet. I don't know, but you never know. So it's on the attack. Balthazar is on the defence. It gets +1, so it scored 2. And Balthazar scores 2 also. That's actually about the best option that could have happened, because a draw means that the creature has slammed him backwards and the combat ends. So he's been pushed back this way. He's gone stumbling over the thing he was using for cover. His little paws are in the air kicking. He's squeaking. His tail's flapping. There's fur everywhere. But that forces the creature to end the combat. It doesn't get its next 2 engagements. And that is absolutely the best thing that could have happened for me this round. So that, other than Balthazar scoring a 1 on initiative and getting the hell out of there, of course. That means everybody else gets to go, including Balthazar, who is going to shoot and then run like hell. So at that range, he only needs to score a 3 or better. In fact, is the size of this creature, is that a combat bonus? That only works in hand-to-hand combat anyway, it doesn't matter. So 3 or better to score a hit, and 3, he's hit. Can he get a 5 or a 6, in which case he gets past the armour? Yes, he can. And if he gets a 6, he can do 2 points of damage in one go. Yes, he has. He's scored 2 hits on the bloody great thing. He's actually wounded it. So it's down to 2, and suddenly things are looking a lot better. Although Balthazar doesn't know that, because Balthazar is running a lot. So 1, 2, 3, 4 is using the advantage of the loping run specialty that these guys get, so that he can shoot and move a full amount instead of shoot and only move half. So that's Balthazar has gone. Now then, the new guy, Yanaros, is going to try a shot at this thing, and is it in cover there? Not really, it's framed in the doorway. So let me just draw a line, because I'm wondering if this little outcrop might just give it a little bit of cover. It actually doesn't, because he draws his target line straight through the next. Okay, so at that range, therefore, he needs a 3 or better to hit. And that's a hit. 5 or 6 to overcome the armour. Nah, it's just bounced off the armour. Clank! Just hits the armour and bounces off. But the guy can move, but he has a limited movement because he's shot. He can only move 2. So 1, 2, he moves to there. And since I should have said actually he used a crossbow, so he did get a bonus against that armour. Still wasn't going to be enough though. Okay, so let me just take a look. We've got, is he out of ammunition again? No, he isn't. Of course he isn't, it can't be yet. So let me roll a d6, and I need 3 or better. 3, that's a hit. To get past the armour, he needs a 5 or a 6. It's bounced off the armour. There's a lot of dents in this, the hide of this thing, where the arrows have hit. Tink, tink, tink. But there's only a handful of them have actually gone through to score anything like damage. So he's also going to pull back. 1, 2. Kanji is yelling to Ekanath to help, I've run out of arrows. Ekanath is going to cast a spell. He is going to cast darts to re-equip Kanji's arrows. So again, he needs a 6 or better. He gets +2. So let's just try that. 3, 4, 5. Oh no! And he's just used his last normal string. So if he wants to cast another spell this time, he has to use a congealed strand to do it, and I've only just replaced the one I had to use the last time, so he's failed to do anything about it. He's going to stay put because he thinks he's... is he though? No, he's going to pull back a little ways. 1, 2, 3, 4. By a little ways, I mean quite a long way. He's going to pull back all that way. I've got a feeling that Leonidas... Has he moved actually? Can't remember. I'm going to assume he has. Otherwise, I think Leonidas being, the head case he might have just run in. but I think he's moved this round. So that leaves Kanji, who's still like, I need arrows. She's trying to get closer to Ekanath, thinking that maybe his distance or the obscured vision slightly might have been why. So he runs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He runs all the way up to stand right next to Ekanath and turn and face the oncoming thunderous threat, and in the hopes that Ekanath can replenish his arrows next round. I honestly thought Balthazar was in for it there. I really did think he was going to get flattened, so we were kind of lucky that he didn't. And that is, everybody has gone, so I'm going to remember to take the stun effect off this creature now, because it's no longer stunned at the end of the round. So it is time to roll initiative again, so it's another 6d6 / roll 6d6, and really we want Ekanath to be able to go first so that he can replenish Kanji's arrows with another spellcast. He's going to have to use one of his congealed strands to do it, and we would ideally like Kanji to also go first. So I'm only going to use a congealed strand if both of those guys can go first this round, and even then I might not, because the others are all armed and ready and might be able to handle this. So only one of our guys goes first. So it's going to be Balthazar, because he's angry that he let himself get almost cornered by this creature, so he is going to shoot first and then run. So from that range he needs a 3 or better to hit, and he has run out of ammunition. Of course he has, bloody hell. So he fires the shot, and it bounces off the wall, and he knows that's the last arrow he had on him. So he turns and runs. 1, 2, 3, 4, and the creature thunders forward some more. 1, 2, 3. It's going to get to here, striding over that downed pillar, trying to get closer to these annoying creatures that keep shooting it. It is aware of the fact that some of them are running out of ammunition, so it's gambling in its kind of mechanical mind that it can run them out of ammunition before they can find a vital spot. Is that going to be how this pans out? Well, we don't know. I'm going to start left to right this time though, so Balthazar's coming in. Not Balthazar, Leonidas. I kept doing this the last time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now that means if the thing becomes aware of him, it can get to him this round, but he's being quiet. He's creeping in the hopes it won't see him. We will find out later. But let's have a go with Janos. He's going to open, Janos, he's going to open fire with that crossbow. He needs a 3 or better from there to hit. That's a 6. He needs a 5 or a 6 to get past its armor, except this is crossbow. So he needs a 4, 5 or a 6 to get past its armor. And it's a 1, so he hasn't. So he's going to use his half movement to slip back. 1, 2. Now, Altran is going to use his recently replenished stock of arrows to open fire on this thing. He also needs a 3 or better at that range. 5, that's a hit. That is a hit. So he needs a 4, 5, no he doesn't, he needs a 5 or a 6, he's not using a crossbow, he needs a 5 or a 6 to beat the thing's armour. And he hasn't, they're just peppering this armour, but it's having virtually no effect. So it is Ekanath and Kanji haven't acted yet. So I think that, I think Ekanath is, oh dear me, I've only got 2 of these strands. I've got 2 spells in mind I would like to cast. One of them would have to be cast next round anyway, and I would have to be going first to make it worth casting. Do I burn a congealed strand now, replenishing the ammunition? Do you know, I don't think I do. Because I only have 2 of these things, and we're gambling instead on the other archers who aren't out of ammunition being able to bring it down. I think it's a bad gamble, but it is what it is. So Ekanath and Kanji are doing nothing at all this round. They're just kind of standing put, and it's back to the next round's initiative. 6d6. Now I'd like Ekanath to be able to go first because I have a spell in mind, but he needs to go first to make it worthwhile. I would have to give him the 1 to do that, but if I do, Kanji could also go first, but he wouldn't be able to do anything unless I cast a different spell to rearm him. So I'm going to give the 1 to Altran. No, I'm not. I'm going to give it to Yanaro because his crossbow is more likely to get through. We'll give Kanji the 3, but he's going to act in the slow action phase anyway. So yeah, I'll not bother tomorrow because he's going to have to move in the slow action phase anyway. Because what he does is going to depend on what Ekanath does, and what Ekanath does depends on what Yanaro's going to do. What Yanaro is going to do is open fire in an attempt to hit this thing. So 3 or better to hit it. That's a hit. Because he's using a crossbow, it's a 4, 5 or a 6 to breach its armour. And it's failed, so he's just thunked into its armour again. No effect. It's now the creature to go, and what we need to do is we need to figure out, does the creature know that Leonidas is coming up behind him? I don't think it's likely to, if I'm honest. But I mean, I don't feel we can rule it out completely. So I just want to see if there's any rule to cover this. He is coming around behind it. I did specifically say he was trying not to be heard, but he was moving relatively quickly over a whole lot of rubble. It's really difficult to know. So I'm going to check the combat rules: movement, shooting, dash, moving into burst-based combat, moving vertically, using thunder flotters, taking damage while moving. Enemy movements, moderate of activation, games, unknown enemy markers, terrain and terrain types, lines of sight, cover, location and enemy markers, combat, spell casting. Okay, I'm going to say there's going to have to be a dice check here, and I'm going to say Leonidas probably gets a bonus because this creature is concentrating on all the things in front of it. So Leonidas gets d6 plus 1 against its d6, highest wins. So he scored 5. If this thing scores a 6, it knows he's there, and he turns to deal with a threat he can reach. If he scores anything else, he's concentrating on this group that's pouring shots into him. So on a so Leonidas rolled 4, you get a +1, so that's 5. So on a 6, this thing notices he's there. On a 5 or a 6, the draw, and I don't know what to do about that. So let's just roll the dice and see. 2. So I don't think this thing knows he's there. I think this thing is concentrating on these guys up ahead of it because they've been keeping its attention all along. That has been our plan from the beginning: keep its eyes on Kanji so that it's heading for him and it can see him again. So he's probably enraged it enough by now as the person who's done the most damage to it, so it's coming after him. So 1, 2, 3, it's thundering up there. Say it's coming after him, it's using the cover as best it can. It knows there's another guy on the flank, so it wants to get through him. So that's it gone. So it's our slow actions now. Balthazar's out of ammunition. He knows this thing's coming for him and will reach him next round if he stays put. He's going to have to pull back. And he's just going to have to cower behind that pew. There is not much else he can do. Ekanath, I'm going to have to come back to him. We're going to have to go to Altran next. 3 or better to hit this thing at that range. And that's a hit, but he needs a 5 or a 6 to get past its armour. And he didn't, so he just fired another shot off its armour. Clang. So Kanji could go next, but only if Balthazar arms him. What I should have done is used that armor breaker spell. So I think Ekanath is pulling back as well. 1, 2, 3, 4. And he's telling Kanji also to pull back. 1, 2, 3, 4. These guys who shot will have also pulled back, to be fair. So they're coming. He moved there, so 1, 2. And he moved 1, 2. So he's using that bench as cover. That's the maximum they can move and fire in the same round. So now it's Leonidas. Does Leonidas charge this thing from the rear is the question. Does he put himself in the same position he was in at last time fighting the ogre and charge it, risking getting knocked about a bit if he doesn't take it? Or does he rely on the archers to finish the job? 1, 2, 3, 4. He can make it into hand to hand with it. And I do have a feeling he is daft enough to, you know. I absolutely do. It was the last time. I don't think he's learned his lesson. So he's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and charging in quietly though. He's kind of rushing in quietly in the hopes of taking it by surprise, because he's looking at that +1 combat skill bonus for taking it by surprise. He comes charging in and jumps and brings the bastard sword down. So he +2 combat skill, +1 for taking it by surprise. That's +3 on this roll. That's a 6, that's 9. The thing can't beat it, even with its bonus of 2, I think. No, only 1, in fact. So the creature cannot beat it this round. So it has been hit in the back by Balthazar's bastard sword, and Balthazar's bastard sword has nothing to help it get through the armor. So he needs a 5 or a 6 to get through the armor. Does he have anything else that would help with that? No, he doesn't. Of course he doesn't, does he? Well, okay. Yeah. Okay, so he is going to have to make a d6 roll straight to beat that armor. So he needs a 5 or a 6 to have gotten through it. 6! Yes, he's gotten through it. Now then, the bastard sword is +1 to overcome toughness. So can he overcome the toughness and bring the thing down in one go? Yes! Yes, he just did. He just did. He's just come running up behind it and hammered it down into the back and taken that thing out. He's brought it down to 0. It clanks, it staggers forwards, and then bang! Hits the ground, breaking apart. He's brought it down. He has killed this golem, and we have completed the contract for Suleiman, who I didn't even have to bring in as it happens. So we move straight over to the after action segment of the game, and let me just have a look. Resolution, experience points, resolution stage 187. So during the resolution stage, collect adventure points depending on the battle you just fought. You now receive any adventure points to which you are entitled. Well, my reward for this contract was 1 gold mark, and that was it. Actually, no, there was no reward for this because I was doing it as a favour to a friend. So collect adventure points. Victorious enemy threat or raid, victorious riot, defeat an aberration. That's 1 adventure point gained for that. So we've gained an adventure point for defeating an aberration. That puts us back to 5 adventure points. That's good news. Finishing a contract gives us another one. That gives us 6 adventure points. And let me see what's next. Check for injuries. I don't need to worry about that because none of us were brought down, thankfully, due to that plan of keeping it at bay and shooting it from a distance. So I don't need to worry about that. Check for advancement. Right, so I'll get to check for advancement in a second. So it's roll for loot and roll for unusual finds. Okay. If you achieved your objective in the battle, you may roll once on the loot table where we get an extra 2 rolls because of the aberration. So yeah, we will go do the check for advancement first and then come back here. So it's page 191 once we've checked for advancement, which I think is 193. 193. So survive the encounter. Everybody gets an experience point. Leonidas gets 1, taking him up to 14 experience points. And Ekanath gets 1, taking him up to 18 experience points. Kanji gets 1, taking him up to 16 experience points. I'll be entirely honest, he earned a lot more than 1, but never mind. Yanaro doesn't get experience points, he rolls on a separate table. Altran gains 1, taking him up to 5 experience points. And Balthazar gets 1, taking him up to 13 experience points. Okay. Right. Survive the encounter. Enemy leader slain. Well, it wasn't a leader. Heroic slayer. Distribute XP equal to the reward rating of the aberration slain. Now, the aberration has a reward rating of 2. And I think the 2 clutch characters in that were Kanji, who inflicted the most damage on it, and Leonidas, who brought it down in the end, who did the final blow, the surprise attack in hand-to-hand at the risk of being flattened again. So I'm going to say that the 2 points it's worth get divided by them, giving Kanji 17 points and giving Leonidas 15 points, which gives him his next advancement roll. Held the field or achieved an objective, yes. So everybody who was left on the field gets a point for that. So that means that Leonidas now goes up to 16. Kanji now goes up to 18. Altran now goes up to 6. Ekanath now goes up to 19, putting him, I think, just 1 off his next advancement roll. Balthazar goes up to 14, putting him 1 off his next advancement roll. And Yanaro only gets a roll on the flash of insight table. So, advancement table. So anybody on 15 or 22 would actually be the next mark. So who's on 15 now? Who's just made it to 15? That would be Leonidas. So Leonidas gets a roll on the hero advancement table, non-mystic. So that's a D100. So 90. So a non-mystic, select a luck increase or a willpower increase. Well, Leonidas has never had any luck, and he could probably do with it, the way he sort of tests it a lot. So I'm going to give him a point of luck. I just need to check that the first luck increase is 1 point. I imagine it is. Each increase grants 1 luck point. Yeah. Unlike other increases, luck can be lost again. Okay, so he was the only one of the heroes to gain an experience roll, advancement roll. However, Yanaro gets a roll on the follower's flash of inspiration test table. Flash of insight, rather. So he rolls D100. On a 1 to 55, he didn't learn anything from that. Higher than that, and he did. So let's find out. 48. He didn't learn anything from that. He spent the whole time terrified and shooting at things. He didn't really gain from that, other than the fact he's still alive and he's confident that these cat people are tough enough to keep him that way. At the moment, he thinks that. Anyway, let's hope he continues to think that. So, rolling back to our next step, that was check for advancement. So it's roll for loot on page 196. We know we get 2 rolls because of the abomination having 2 points of whatever it's called. So it's a D100. 52 armour. Brilliant. Let's have a look at the armour that we've just discovered. Not quite sure this thing might have had some armour lying around. We've taken off the skeleton of somebody that was killed trying to deal with it. So it's armour sub-table, and the higher we roll, the better. I'll be honest with you, 67 or higher would be ideal. So let's just see. 75. Fine full armour. We have just managed to find a suit of fine full armour. That's really, really good news. So full armour, brackets fine. Leonidas is having that. He's definitely having that. Okay, let's see what else we got on the loot table. So another D100. 94 enchanted item. We found another enchanted item. Oh, well, this has been a fight worth fighting. 94 enchanted item. D100 to see what enchanted item it was. It was 76, which is 76 is jewellery. Enchanted jewellery. Okay, this sounds interesting. Let's find the jewellery sub-table. Jewellery, here we go. Roll D100 on this one. Find out what we got. 6. So enchanted jewellery 6. Curing ward. A curing ward we found as well. I'm actually running out of room on my list of all the stuff we have. Now, how is that possible when I mentioned earlier I can fit all of it because I've got less than 8 items? Remember, my main list of all the stuff I've got includes the stuff that isn't in backpacks, the stuff that has been assigned to people. I need to neaten this up a little bit and start taking the stuff off so it's not double entered. So it's just if a character's carrying it, it's only on their character sheet. But at the moment I've got what they're carrying on there as well. So let's find out what a curing ward does. In the tracking phase, if the character was wounded, the wound is healed. Fantastic. So that happens at the end of a combat round, which we haven't been using a lot of because it's things like morale tests and stuff like that. And we haven't been fighting things that needed a morale test. So I'm going to add a handout. It's going to be curing ward. There we go. Save changes. That is a great item, and I'm going to have to decide who to give that to. Probably the person most likely to get injured, which would be Leonidas. But he does already have that set of really good armour that he just found. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. So we need to head back up now to the rest of the section on what happens after a battle. The next step is settle in. So if you're in the same map area as a settlement, you can begin the next campaign turn in a town. We're not. Or in camp, as you prefer. If you're anywhere else, you'll begin the next campaign turn in camp. So I am anywhere else. I'm in the middle of nowhere, point of fact. So I will begin the next turn in camp. I can just put a little X through this layer as well. So I'm just going to do that. Ha! take that. And then we roll on news travels. Roll D100 on the news table below to see what news reaches you from other lands. Apply any results immediately. So we come back to camp where Solomon has been looking after our pony and our animals and our equipment, and we throw the severed head of the golem down at his feet. He's over the moon that we have destroyed this thing for him. He's clapping us on the shoulder and shaking our paws. We're head bocking him and all sorts. So while we're doing that, he tells us, okay, so 86. A stranger is visiting a local settlement. Select a random settlement. If you visit there within the next 2 campaign turns, I want to meet them. Roll a traveller encounter. Okay, so I'm going to say on a 1 or a 2 on a D6, then the stranger is at the nomad town in square 9. On a 3 or a 4 is at Shambhala Market, and on a 5 or a 6 is in the nomad camp in page 20, it's square 20 rather. So 6 is at here. So I need a marker that indicates a stranger is there. So map icons, let's have a look. What looks like it might be a stranger visiting. I'm going to use a banner, a little horse, there we go. And I'm going to pop that down there, and then on that thing I'm going to mark stranger visiting till campaign round 1 was 13, so 15. Excellent. Okay, so that's us done for the follow-up to combat. So that's everything done for us this round. We have defeated the golem not long after, only a couple of weeks, 3 maybe 4 weeks after killing the ogre. So we're starting to get probably a little bit too cocky, which could come back and bite us. But anyway, we'll find out next week on Ekanath's Panthers. Thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you have enjoyed the show. If you like the look of the game, you can pick that up anywhere. Modiphius Entertainment sells their goods, so you can buy that from their website, or my personal favourite of course is Drive-Thru RPG, because I don't buy physical copies of anything anymore. I buy everything as a PDF, then I can pack 1 laptop and 1 tablet and I'm good to game anywhere. So Drive-Thru RPG for your PDFs, Modiphius Entertainment for the solid books, a local game store if you are one of these lucky people who still has one. So I have to admit, if I still had a local game store, I probably would break my own rule about only buying PDFs, and I'd probably break it on a fairly regular basis, to be honest. So do support your local game store if you're lucky enough to still have one. Otherwise, well, your usual places to buy RPGs. If you would like to look into getting some good maps for your games, check out Gethsemane Games on, well, you can find the Gethsemane Games website is one option. The other, of course, is to check us at Drive-Thru RPG, Gethsemane Games and Drive-Thru RPG, where we have stuff. Or consider backing my Patreon, Bryan F. Irving, where I give maps away on, well, you get a couple of maps a month. I usually try to do one every week, but I can't actually manage necessarily every week and still keep up with everything else. So what I actually say is you'll get a couple of maps a month or more, and quite often you get more. You get other goodies on that as well, and you can back that for as little as £1 a month. So anyway, it just remains for me and for Ekanath Panthers to say from us, stay safe, take care, and good night.